On the main line, what's the one thing we cannot afford to have out there in that system? Any kind of particulates, right? So all of a sudden, that eliminates steel from this main line, doesn't it? We're not going to put steel out there because over time it's going to corrode, and we're going to get rust chips coming off the pipe, and we're going to start plugging up emitters. So that main line has to be plastic. A base requirement that stuff has got to be plastic. If we do have any steel, it has to be stainless. And thinking of their possibilities of injection pumps where we might be injecting chemicals into the main line, a very common thing to do in drip. We can spoon feed fertilizer, we can spoon feed micronutrients, we can even spoon feed certain absorbed chemicals that will act as insecticides. So there is that opportunity to be able to put certain chemicals into that system, and so we want to be able to make sure that the pipe doesn't corrode because of the abrasiveness or the corrosivity of the chemicals we're pumping in. Plastic is pretty immune to about anything we're going to put into it. It's not going to be destroyed by any of those kinds of chemicals. So it's a very, very good choice. And it could be polyvinyl chloride or it can be polyethylene. We don't care. They both have the same inert characteristics, and they're not going to deteriorate, and they're not going to fleck material off and all of that stuff. One thing we have to make sure of is when we're using plastic main lines is to watch the velocities so that we don't exceed the velocity rates that are specified by the manufacturer. And the norm is never have that flow rate in a pipe more than 5 feet per second in plastic main line. And we'll talk about that again and again and again until everybody has that number driven into their brain, because it's so critical not to overfill a plastic main line. That high velocity water can create water hammer very easily, and it'll shatter the pipe. Yes, Bob?
Two different kinds of plastic, polychloride and so
PVC and polyethylene. And PVC is polyvinyl chloride. That's what it stands for, polyvinyl chloride. And then the other is called PE, or polyethylene. PE. And normally you will not see that used as a main line, but you will certainly see it used as laterals. But it can be. You can get it in pretty large diameter. Now, the same makeup that we talked about in solid set fits for drip. We have a main line. We have valves off that main line to dump water into manifolds, and then those manifolds then feed a whole group of laterals. And so we have the exact same look that we did with our solid set drawing.